Moving on to the first Easter in the Gospel of Mark. 1. In Mark chapter 15 verse 37, Jesus dies. 2. The veil is rent. 3. The centurion says Jesus is the Son of God in response to him, that is Jesus, crying out, then dying. Point number 4. As the sun was about to set, ringing in the Sabbath, Joseph of Arimathea asks Pilate for the body of Jesus. Pilate is surprised to hear that Jesus is already dead, so he double checks with a centurion. Then he lets Joseph have the body, which he, Joseph, then buries. 5. Early Sunday morning, 3 women go to the tomb: Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James, and Salome. Mary Magdalene, as my uncle would say, but Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James, and Salome. 6. These women find the stone at the tomb's entrance rolled away. They find that stone rolled away. They go inside and find an angel. 7. The angel tells them to tell the disciples to meet Jesus in Galilee. The women leave immediately without talking to anyone. So that's Mark's account of the first Easter of the resurrection and the events immediately following it. How does this stack up against the Matthean account? The first potential problem is why the centurion confesses that Jesus is God's Son. In Matthew, it's because of the earthquakes. In Mark's, it's because of the crying out just before the death. A couple of approaches here. First, it is the way in which Jesus cries out, perhaps, in Mark, which elicits the centurion's confession. And that's not perhaps, that is what happens. According to Mark, Jesus cries out, and the way in which he cries out and then dies, that's what elicits the centurion's confession that that is Jesus, is the Son of God. It could be that the way in which Jesus cried out shook the earth. A second possibility, so that would bring it into line with what Matthew said. The second possibility is that there was more than one centurion at the cross. That's plausible. There would have been more. It's not surprising to suppose there was at least 2 centurions there. That's how it's portrayed in the movies. You need one man to hold down the arms, another man to nail, and so on. So the first was convinced by the earthquakes, and the second was convinced by the outcry. That's another possible approach. Next, who went to the tomb? The other Mary, which Matthew mentions, could be the mother of James. So in Matthew it says Mary Magdalene and Mary the mother, Matthew says that Mary Magdalene and Mary the mother of James went, and Mark says Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went. And I got those backwards. It's Mary, the mother of James, in Mark, and it's the other Mary in Matthew. All right, so the other Mary could be Mary, the mother of James. That's what I'm trying to say. And Matthew nowhere says that Salome was not with them, so there is no conflict in the company going to the tomb. The women find an angel inside the tomb and not sitting on the rock outside the tomb, as Matthew seems to suggest. However, there could have been 2 angels, one inside and one outside. Or the angel outside, after scaring the guards, and just before the women arrive, could have moved inside the tomb. Finally, Mark does not say how long the women went without talking to anyone. They could have only waited until they met Jesus, as Matthew says. Let's move on to the third gospel, Luke, for the next video.